Thank you for following up. This is part 2. If you haven't already, go ahead and like and subscribe. And you also know I got a comment button, so leave a comment down below. Let me know how I did it.
Get started on removing the spark plugs. One. That's 2. He ain't looking too good neither. Alright, we got 3 down, 3 more to go. Alright, that's all the spark plugs. Alright, all the spark plugs are pulled. By looking at them, these are some very corroded spark plugs. Definitely factory plugs. I would say, if not, this is probably the second tune-up it's been had. Being on the roads. Nevertheless, we're gonna go ahead and prep this intake, clean it up a little bit, get all that grease and corrosion off of it. Prep our intake housing manifold, get the new gaskets in there, get the old one out, get the new one in, and then install our spark plugs, put it all back together. When you clean up your intake, you want to make sure that you're very careful. You don't need much, probably some brake cleaner and just a rag. Just go ahead and start cleaning, scrubbing best you can. Get all that gunk off or away. If you get a little bit of dust in there, it would burn off. Anything that's chunky or heavy or thick, it will get into those lifters and damage them. So you want to be very careful. You can also use a wire brush. Be very gentle, like I said. Make sure you don't want to knock any unwanted debris in there.
When using a wire brush to clean up an intake housing surface, you do not want to scrape or scrub the surface. You want to brush away any old gasket or dust or debris just to clean up the surface for a clean contact with the new gasket and the intake housing.
I cleaned up on the intake housing, mounting point.
Now I'm gonna go ahead and install my new spark plugs. Here are my new ones. I got 2 here, 4 in here. All right, this is what our new spark plug looks like, and then this is the old one. As you can see, very big difference. This one is pre-gapped. They're yeah, fine point. This one here looks like it's a manufacturer, like you have to gap this one, but nevertheless got pre-gapped spark plugs. And we're also going to use champions for this. I'm going to use champions. All right, I don't too much prefer a specific brand. I always go what's recommended. If I can't go with what's recommended, I go with what's best fits the customer's
You know what I'm saying? What's it called? What they can afford, pretty much. We're gonna go ahead and start installing these spark plugs one by one. I don't ever tighten them down with the ratchet. I always go ahead and insert them and then hand tighten them all down before I start cranking them down with the ratchet. All right, we got one side down. One side done. On to the next one. Definitely make sure that your spark plug is locked into your spark plug puller tool, remover, installer tool. Alright, so here's a neat little trick before I start choking down all my spark plugs. This is how you identify where it's cylinder number 1 all the way to cylinder number 6. Alright? So you see how this head, it sits further up on the motor housing than this one does, and this one sits further back. This would be considered cylinder 1 because this is the first cylinder, like the furthest cylinder forward of the motor. Then this would be cylinder 2, then this would be cylinder 3, this would be cylinder 4, cylinder 5, cylinder 6. And this would be your odd side, this would be your even side. That's how you identify your individual, you know what I'm saying? That's how you identify the individual cylinders. There. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and torque down the spark plugs. I usually just hand tighten them down so I can't tighten them no more. Not cranking down on them, just barely just turning them. So I don't have my torque wrench, so just bump it, can't turn it. That's tight enough. This is that's all of them. You don't want to put no crazy crank down strength on it. It's not needed. Just a hand tight or a hand snug fit in the spark plug alleyway or spark plug mounting spot. All done. Now we'll go ahead and install the coil packs. We go cylinder 1, cylinder 3, and cylinder 5. Then go cylinder 2, or this is cylinder 4. This is cylinder 2, and this is going to be cylinder 6. Then we're going to go mounting screws. And we'll just, just as I said, you want to make sure you have a nice hand on these screws, otherwise they're going to get away from you. Thankfully, that fell off to the back end of the motor and onto the floor. I can retrieve that, and it's not in the motor, so safe. Go ahead and just hand tighten all these down the best you can. Thread them in. We'll go ahead and torque down or snug down all the coil packs. All these do have a specified torque spec, but you don't need them. You just want to snug everything down, not too hard. You do not want to strip it. You do not want to strip the threads, because then you won't have a good connection with your spark plugs and your coil packs. But there you are. Coil packs are seated on top of the spark plugs and mounted back up. Time to clean up the intake. Alright, we got the intake right here. Now it's time to do the last one, the intake gasket. We're gonna take this little pick, shape pick, and we're gonna pry at this gasket until it comes up. And it fell apart. So keep prying at it till it all comes up. There we go. I'm gonna typically match it up just to make sure that you have the right one, but as such, and it's the right one. Once you make sure, get out the way. Open this up. Just sit it on top. I usually throw that aside. There goes my little cleaning rag. And where's this? Yeah, my pick. I take my pick, my cleaning rag, my shop rag, and I just use the other side. I don't use the and just go ahead and clean up on the inside here. Best you can.
On both sides. Clean it straight and hot. See if I can find something smaller.
That's all cleaned up. I'm gonna go ahead and get your gasket. Doesn't really matter which way you put it in. They do have like these little indication marks on the side where it kind of shows an arrow pointing down. I typically prefer you to go ahead and put that in there that way, and yeah, go from there. You should feel it kind of popping or snapping into place, seating into place where it's supposed to be. So run your fingers along it, make sure it's all seated in evenly. Now it's time to go ahead and install it. Make sure when you're installing your intake manifold or the intake housing, you gotta line up this back vacuum, exhaust vacuum line. Alright. Line up your mounts, your support bracket, your support brackets. Thread on the locking nut. Just connecting my mounting brackets. Make sure everything is all in its place the way it should be. You always want to hand tighten everything down before you start cranking down with the ratchet. Alright, so there is a torque sequence that you want to go ahead and do. There's 7 bolts. I usually typically start from the middle and work my way out. So these 3 here, I'm going to go ahead and tighten up this one. I'm going to get all the way down. These bumps are nothing too serious. Same thing with this one. As I feel some tension, I stop. Alright, so with this, I went on and finished it up. My phone died, but nevertheless, I tightened down all my little mounting screws for my intake manifold housing or whatnot. Got them all snugged down. Don't want to snug them too much. There's just a torque spec for these, of how tight they should be tightened down. And there's also a sequence from which bolt to start with and which bolt to end with. And also, too, I put in my air duct, put in my air filter housing box. Also connected up my vacuum lines. Those are the most important. There's vacuum lines behind this air intake. There's 3 of them, one from the brake booster, 2 of them from the brake booster, another one's from another little coexisting vacuum line. Make sure those are connected, otherwise it will run rough. And then all the other accessory hoses, connect those, tighten everything down. Make sure your wiring harness is connected back up to your intake and all your map sensors and other corresponding sensors that makes the car run. All right, so we got that done. The tune-up's done. The intake gasket is done. We also got these side brackets here. 1, 2. That's tightened up and put back together. And also, too, on this side where the throttle body connects up to another bracket, it's tightened up at the lower end and at the top. Just to double check my work, I'm going to start it up. Thank you for watching my video. If you can please like, comment, and subscribe. Stay posted for more videos and share to any family or friends that need any other assistance.